Yes, we are live. Welcome back, my dear friends. This is episode number 71 of Zero Point Healing Show. And in this particular show, we are going to discuss about healing, physical, mental, and emotional healing through theta healing. So, how theta healing has the ability to cover all areas of our healing. So, that's what we are going to discuss about. And I have with me an amazing guest for today. But before I move on to her, just a short intro about me. I'm Vishnupriya and I'm certified in multiple different healing modalities. And through my journey into this beautiful holistic healing world, I found a lot of different modalities. And when I went through this journey, I saw that each of these modalities are helping me personally develop and move on to next steps of my life. So that has been my journey. And through that, I got inspired to create this kind of a platform, which is the zeropointhealing.com, which is a web directory for all spiritual healing and holistic healing, all kinds of subconscious mind reprogramming modalities. So, in general, I've taken this kind of umbrella that I call it as holistic healing. And right now, there are about 50 different healing modalities that is registered on zeropointhealing.com. And there are so many different healers and facilitators and therapists who are in there. And right now, the platform itself is actually serving me, I guess, because every month I kind of do at least 4 to 5 healing sessions for myself. And I tend to work with different healers and different facilitators. And I saw that every healing session that I do, regardless of the healing modality and regardless of the healer, it helped me personally grow and develop. So these beautiful healing sessions, I personally use it as my personal growth, um, and of course, as I said, regardless of which healing modality, it has always helped me take that next step in my life. So that's who I am. And I'm personally, in my work, I help spiritual entrepreneurs build their healing business. So I'm an intuitive business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs. That's my personal work that I do. All right, so that's all about me. I'm now moving on to my beautiful guest of today. Welcome, Gloria. Thank you so much for coming to my interview show. So tell us a little bit about you and tell us how you found theta healing and tell us about your journey a little bit.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and pleased to be here. So my journey finding Theta Healing was about 20 years ago. And I was always, as a young person, interested in those who were psychic, those who would delve into the other side, wanting to know questions and what would happen after we died. And then I was introduced with my curiosity when I moved to a new state back in 2000. I found out about Reiki, the energy work of Reiki, and I became a Reiki master. And that was my first step into healing. And then after that, in 2002, is when I was introduced through a friend to Theta Healing. Now, I did know along the way that I could see auras on people, and I didn't realize if it was only me or if others could see them. And that was exciting. And then I found that I had gift of healing energy in my hands. And when people would touch my hands, or I'd be in a group holding hands, they would say, "You have so much energy in your hands." And then they began to say, "I love your energy when I'm with you. I love being in your presence. I love your energy." So that told me that I felt strongly I needed to pursue healing work. And when I found Theta Healing, I fell in love with it and it became my passion. And I've been doing it since 2002.
Wow, that's so beautiful and lovely to have that kind of gift to have the ability to heal people with just our energy, and that's so beautiful. So tell us now about theta healing, and since I can see you have a very, very long history with theta healing, tell us what theta healing is, how it got developed, and what kind of magic that it can create.
Thank you. I'd love to. Theta Healing is a process of meditation. that creates physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual healing using the theta brainwave. So when we're in a pure theta state of mind, we are able to connect to the creator of all that is. Now, when I use the word creator, if you want to say God, if you want to say source, this is what is referred to the higher power. But the highest power, or the highest connection, let's just say, not power, would be connecting to creator of all that is. This is where atoms are made. This is where all creation is made. And this is where we connect in theta healing right to the creator. And we're guided and learn this process very quickly. And it brings healings and peace into our lives, as well as miracles that I see all the time. So Vianna is the founder of Theta Healing, and she lives in Montana, Bigfoot, Montana. She created Theta Healing, or was given Theta Healing, about 25 years ago. She travels all over giving seminars. She's in 150 countries, teaching, having seminars, and healing. Theta healing is the process that we use, like I say, to connect in focused prayer to Creator. And then we're able to do beautiful things that we couldn't normally do just physically on our own. There's 4 levels of theta healing that we work with when we see a client and when we do things. And it's the core, the genetic, the history, and the soul. So the core level is your core beliefs that you become acquainted with and developed and attached to your whole life. The gene level is your DNA in your genes. So I work with the DNA in your body. The history level is, of course, your family. And the soul level, the 4th level, is working with your soul. So it encompasses all areas, and it's quick and easy. It's uplifting, it's rejuvenating, it's life-changing. Theta healing, we work with a higher self, which is the innate, and the innate guides us and tells us the truth in our body. So when I have a client come and I test them, let's say, for instance, they come in and they say, well, I don't feel like I love myself. I'm really struggling in life, and I'm having problems in relationships. So through the innate, it's also called kinesiology, the process, we test and ask, do I love myself? The body will give the true answer. When we know this, and it says no, then we can start working on changing that quickly through the cells in the DNA, through creator of all that is. It's beautiful work, and it's very quick.
That's so nice. So yes, me being a theta healer as well, I understand, what you're saying, as well as what I love about theta healing is that we can easily connect to the creator of all that is, as how Gloria has been saying. And the magic is that regardless of what kind of issue that the client might be coming with, as the topic itself is about the physical, mental, and emotional healing, regardless of what kind of issues you are facing in your life, it can be issues with a relationship, it can be issues with your physical body, it can be, as she says, not being able to love yourself enough, it can be any kind of issues. There is a solution to the problem, and that's what theta healing is. It gives the solution to any kind of problems that you might be facing in your life. And how this magic is done is by connecting to the creator of all that is through a meditation. It's a meditational healing technique. And as well as tell us a little bit about the belief digging, because we have this ability to dig into our subconscious mind and find those limiting beliefs. So tell us a little bit about that.
You mean the process of going in to find that?
Yes.
Is that where you're?
Right.
So when I connect with a client, or the client comes in with an issue, say for instance, they have a lot of anxiety. Through my psychic, I can almost pick on where that's coming through, but as I connect to creator, of all that is, and I ask to scan the body and then ask to be shown where the anxiety is. And then through speaking with the client, it is obvious to me, and we're able to now work on whether it was an emotional issue, whether it was a lack of communication, no matter what it is. We're on those 4 levels. We clear it, we say, we take it to creator, send it to creator, and then we download the opposite of that or the positive to that into the cells, into the DNA, and into the body, teaching peace, harmony, joy, and the client actually gets to feel that and experience that. Now, a lot of times, if I get the feeling that the client, because they've never known, let's say, joy, they've always had so much anxiety, and they say to me, I've never known joy, then I ask Creator to download into the client and teach them how to receive the healing, how to receive the energy, that they know how and they can, so that they're not blocking it. And that makes the process even faster and easier. And then the client feels it strongly. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And tell us, let's go into the topic of physical, emotional, and mental healing. So give us maybe a few examples of, how we can have theta healing, use theta healing to heal all areas of life.
Through theta healing, if you had a physical ailment, let's say, if you had a headache, we've even had people come in with major issues like a brain tumor or a cancer even. Through focused meditation and connecting with Creator of all that is, we can go in the DNA and find out what the cause is. And most of the time we're finding, and has been my experience, that it's a core belief issue. So if you don't know how to love yourself or let love in yourself, in your life, a lot of times this will cause cancer in the breast. So when we can pull that and we can download and teach the client what it feels like to be loved and to accept this, and then to send love to the cancer and have Creator remove it and transmute it, that's when the healing begins and the cancer shrinks and goes away. It's beautiful. That's what I call miraculous. But with Creator, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And what about, let's talk about the emotional and the mental aspects. Maybe you can give us a few more examples on how, people, there might be a lot of viewers who are watching this video now who might go through any kind of emotional pain, trauma, relationship issues. So give us maybe a few examples of that.
I've had clients come who have had emotional issues with a relationship, and even that they've left the relationship. Maybe it's an ex-husband or an ex-wife, but they're still carrying the pain, they're still carrying the hurt. So when they come to this session, Creator connects with us. I connect as the practitioner, and we go in and we cut any cords, any vows, covenants, commitments, oaths that they've made with that person. We release the emotion out of the cells, out of the body. We pull all of that through Creator, send it to Creator's light, and then download and teach them what it feels like to be free of that they can in that very moment, and teach them to have peace, to know that they know what it feels like to be able to have clarity. And invariably, in my experience, when we've done this, they feel the shift. They feel the separation has been cut. They feel the peace. They don't feel the trauma or the anxiety or the stress of that constant remembering that someone was angry at you or was abusive or treated you badly. That's all taken away because it's done in your cells as well as emotionally and on the spiritual level and intellectually, on all those levels.
It's so nice. And I think those levels are one other amazing thing that I saw in theta healing, because it's not just in the core level, it also goes through these different levels that we are talking about. So all the 4 levels, the soul level, which also heals a lot of our past lives as well, because a lot of emotional pain or the physical problems that we are facing in this life actually goes back to its root in our
Yes.
past lives. And theta healing is like, wow, it can do everything in just one shot. So tell us how a theta healing session with you might look like, and how long does it take? Do you do it online? So tell us about how a client can work with you and how a session with you would look like.
Okay. So a session can be done in person. If you're not here in the area, then it can be done over the telephone. It can be done also through Skype or Zoom. The sessions usually last an hour. If it needs to go an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15 or 20, I don't just say, well, it's an hour, it's time to end the session. I make sure that we're through with that session and bring it to a close. I generally start asking questions like, what would you like to work on today? Is there anything in your life you'd like to change? You know, tell me why you're here today, why you have chosen to come. And then that opens it up, and that's where the beginning of the session is. We have interaction all through this session. I ask them how they're feeling. We test it. We have them drink lots of water because we need to be hydrated in theta. We test with the innate, with the kinesiology, to make sure we're on track, that these things have been cleared. If they haven't, then we do more digging, what we call a process where we ask questions, clear that one, and keep going down. Because it could be a problem from a past, on your history level. It could be a problem that's been brought in from a grandmother or a grandfather. So we work on all areas, you know, on the history, on the genes, could be in your genes from 3 generations ago or longer. That all plays a point in it, and I'm guided and directed and have an instinctual nature to know where to go, and I actually listen for direction through Creator, and I'm able to pinpoint that very clearly, and that's when we really make progress. So when the client comes, they might be in fear, they might be in anxiety, they're not sure what to expect, but by the time they're shortly into the session, and by sure at the end of the session, they're feeling peace, they're feeling joyful, they feel light, like so much has been lifted from them. I really see a shift when they're in the session and they feel it. They feel the healing that has taken place, and they leave with a greater understanding of themselves and a more connected, loving connection to Creator, to God, to Source. So it's a beautiful session.
Yes, and one other thing about theta healing that I love is, you know, having to learn the lessons, right? So maybe there has been a breakup, for example, that a client has come for an emotional balance or letting go of the emotional trauma. So with theta healing, I got to know that when we are doing a session, we are able to go back to that point and see what lessons did we try to learn through that kind of process of, let's say, breakup, and then some lessons like forgiveness or compassion or anything else that comes up, and there is that aha moment during the session. For me, I think recently, just last month, I actually did a theta healing session for myself with another healer, and this was a type of a issue that was going between myself and one of my relatives. So I was like, okay, the session actually started off for a totally different reason, where I was feeling some headache for the headache, and some in general, I was feeling a lot of uncomfortability in my body. So that was the session all about. But as soon as we started the session, the healer was able to tell me, okay, I see a man in my image in while I'm connecting with the Creator. Do you know who this man is? And then immediately I understood, because that comes to me as well, it comes to her as well. So there is this beautiful sync between the client and the healer that takes place. And I was like, yes. And then she said, okay, there's something going between this relationship. And I was like, I felt I already healed it previously, but she was like, no, there feels like there's something else that you need to learn from everything that has happened between this particular relationship. So I was like, I felt I already healed all of that and I forgave all of that. I was like, done. But then through the session, almost towards the end of the session, I was able to understand almost two different lessons that I actually learned. So that was like, wow, even a relationship that I thought I have already healed also had like two other lessons that I can learn. And those lessons were something like self-responsibility, taking responsibility for myself rather than blaming it on somebody else. So that lesson was not something I had ever dealt with any of my previous healing sessions. So this one was like totally new. I was like, okay, this one lesson I still have to retrieve from this particular, relationship that has happened in the past. And now after retrieving that lesson, it's like the kind of resentment or a bit of, regret that I had about this particular relationship was like totally healed. And after that, I never even think about that kind of it. Otherwise it usually runs in my mind, the particular relationship and all and the feeling of that grudging that happens within. So every time I do theta healing session, it has been like, wow, every time I get to learn new lessons that I wanted to learn.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I've had the same experience with my clients and also myself. So we say, well, what have you learned from this experience? And it's maybe not just one thing, maybe it's two or three things. So once you've learned that, then Creator can change it and download and teach you, just the positive about it. But the lesson has been learned, then we can move on.
Right.
Otherwise, it may keep appearing in life.
Right. And that's
So
why,
thank you for sharing your experience.
sure. And that's why while we are doing a theta healing session, when we end it, we feel so light because we have learned the lesson that we had been trying to learn, regardless of whether it is a physical issue, emotional issue, mental issue, regardless of which area of your life it is. All of these so-called issues are there for us to learn certain lessons. And once we learn that lessons, it's first of all eye-opening to have this kind of session, and then after the session, that energy, that limitation is released and you feel so relieved after that. All right, so now let's quickly, if you have any kind of would you like to share maybe some of your client testimonials and just tell us what kind of experience your clients have had previously with you?
Yes, and thank you for allowing me to do this. I would love to. So one of my clients, I'm actually going to read because I did this from the printed page from my website, if you don't mind. So I found Theta Healing after a friend shared some pretty impressive stories about how it had helped her. I did some research on the internet and found Gloria's website. I was delighted when I met her. She is a very gracious woman. I have used Theta for many things, including increasing my prosperity, to help heal a broken relationship, to find direction when I was really struggling professionally, but most importantly, for greater happiness and inner peace. Theta is a powerful tool. I am grateful to have found this wonderful way to help and release some of my personal limitations in life. I would highly recommend Gloria. She is an extremely talented lady, very gracious, and such a loving practitioner of Theta. One other one I would love to share with you is a lady that had physical healing, and this happened about 5 years ago when I met her and was invited to help her. So it starts out, I am a 55-year-old woman who has never really had any type of illness, well, not until about a month ago. To this day, I still don't know what happened. It all started out with what I thought was a cold and the flu. I started spinning and I couldn't hold anything down. I swear I didn't eat for a week. The only thing I could do was lie in bed. I went to the emergency room at least 3 times, and they did every test you can imagine. They did a CAT scan, EKGs, blood work, you name it, they gave it to me. Well, nothing seemed to help. Each time they just sent me home, but I kept getting worse. And finally, going back to the hospital, they decided that I had vertigo. They told me that it would eventually go away, but it never did. And I just got sicker and sicker and sicker. I lay in bed for 2 weeks, unable to eat, drink, and I was losing my life force. My kids stopped by and read what the doctors had said, but I was looking zombie-like and acting like a zombie. So they took me back to the hospital, and at this point, my health was declining to the point where I looked like death. I was admitted again. So to begin the tests again of CAT scan, EKG, blood work, and even the dreaded spinal tap, they even placed a tube in my vein directly to my heart, just in case I had a heart attack so they could shoot adrenaline directly to it. I was soon moved to the ICU, and I had round-the-clock nurses and doctors in my room. They had something growing on my brain. They thought it might be spinal meningitis, the worst type, which is bacterial. They gave me tons of shots and pills. My brain began to swell, and the pressure on my brain started to affect the functions of my body. The left side of my face started to go numb. I began seeing double. I felt like a toy whose battery was running out. I felt it all slipping away. Then one day, one of my sons came to visit and told me, "Mom, you really look dim. You look like you're just not going to make it." He said, "I've had an experience in Maui, and I ran into a person who does energy work." So he said, "Mother, I'm going to find someone to help you." And I agreed at this point. I was ready for anything. So a couple of days later, he made contact with me and told me how he had found out about Gloria, how he was with her and really liked her vibration and believed she could help. So she stopped by the hospital that night, and by God's pure light saved me. She was so gentle with the light of an angel. She laid her hands on me and with her soft voice explained all that she was doing. That in her heart, she knew that I would leave the hospital that very next week. This was Friday, and she was telling me that everything would be fine and that I would be going home very soon. As she began her healing and doing her theta, I felt like life entered back into my body again. All this pressure that was in my skull was immediately gone. My face began to have feeling, and all the sleepy, drugged out feelings I had from everything they had put in me was leaving and lifted. I was aware again, awake from my deep sleep. The next 2 days were incredible. The swelling in my brain went down. I was moved back to a regular room. And 3 days later, on Tuesday, they sent me home. I was healed. I give my living testimony that Gloria has the power to heal. And I am 55 with a husband, 6 children, and 8 grandchildren. And I love them very much. I did not want to die and leave this earth at this time. With my faith and with my belief, I was healed. Gloria is a vessel of God. She was able to heal me, and now I am back 100% to work. I am back doing all that I wanted to do with my family, and I have a new friend in Gloria. I bless you, I thank you, and I recommend Theta Healing to anyone. That's my most beautiful story. It brings tears to my eyes when I'm reminded of it or able to read it.
Wow, that was so beautiful. So with her, did you actually do like a full-blown session in the hospital, or was it just energy work that you did with her?
No, I did both. I did energy work and the gifts that I've been given, but I also did the theta and went connected to Creator and, did whatever it needed for the healing. Now, she was so weak when I entered the room and I met her that she couldn't sit up. She couldn't even hold her hand up to touch my hand. She had no color in her face. So I asked her son to step over and ask her if we could have a permission that he be proxy just to get started. And then so I worked with him and did some testing through him. Then at the end of the session, color came back into her face. She sat up, she spoke to me. It was a true miracle. It was beautiful. Theta is so powerful. I just truly love it.
Wow, that's so amazing. And that's why I thought, because from what you read, I was able to feel that she might not be able to talk for a kind of a session, which is why I asked if it was just an energy work. But that's so amazing that you could use her son as a proxy in order to start the healing for her. And at a later time, she was able to sit up and start doing the healing. You can directly do the healing for herself. That's so beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. So tell us now so my dear viewers, you have Gloria's link in the video below, and you can click on the link and you can contact her directly and book a session with her. So as she said, did you say usually the sessions are 1 hour to 1.5 hour-ish long?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Sometimes if you want just a half-hour session, we can do a half-hour session, but we accomplish so much more in an hour.
Right. So as well as you also have an additional 10% off discount coupon, which is 0 point. You can just let her know about that you found her through 0 Point Healing, and she will give you that 10% off discount as well. Any other final words, Gloria?
Just thank you, and thank Creator for having you find me through Theta Healing and to give me this opportunity to give my testimony, to share what I have experienced in Theta Healing. And I hope all those who are ready, who feel like they are ready to take the step to make their life more beautiful, that they will connect.
Sure. Thank you
Thanks
so much.
so much.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, my dear viewers. I'm going to see you in my next interview. Please do subscribe and share.